Once upon a time, I woke up and I realized
I don't want to pursue this career anymore.
I quit my job. I hopped out of bed, donned my scrubs, and went to work for the very last time. I didn't even give a 2 weeks notice. I just quit right there and then after that shift. No backup plan, no 5-year roadmap. In this video, I'm sharing how I landed my first high-paying client, what I learned along the way, and what I do differently if I were to start all over again. So if you've ever dreamed of leaving your job or you might want to build something on your own terms, this video is for you. But first, a little backstory. I'm the kind of person who doesn't really know what I want to be when I grow up. But one thing I do know for sure that I didn't want to be a nurse. Life happened. I worked as a nurse for 3.5 years and I didn't earn a single cent. And I remember I was living off of rice and beans during lunchtime and survived only with the small allowance my parents gave me and my part-time job right after my 8-hour shift. Sometimes even 9 hours because, code blue, you don't get to leave if someone's life is on the line. Now, don't get me wrong though, nursing is one of the future-proof, high-paying job and the most secure job out there. It pays extremely well, especially if you work abroad. And in my feed, I see a lot of my friends thriving who are very successful working as a nurse in other countries. They've taken out mortgages, they bought a house, a car, and they love their jobs. And honestly, I am super stoked for them. But I just couldn't see myself doing this for the next 50 years. Sure, it's totally rewarding to see patients being wheeled out of the hospitals getting discharged because they're going home, but something in me felt really, really empty. Then I had a moment. One day I realized that I only probably have 50 more years in my life, and when that's over, there's no do-overs. I didn't want to spend 10 hours a day away from my family, and if you have a dog, realize that they only have 15 summers. And that's when I decided I don't want to keep doing this anymore. So I threw in the towel. And after thinking things through, I thought to myself, I love drawing, I loved art, I used to draw when I was a little kid and I loved it. So let's take a look at things that I can probably do to make a living off of art. And also looking back at 2013, I think that's the time when freelancing started to pop off. So I started exploring and thinking, how can I make a living out of this? I initially did test the waters and worked as a medical transcriptionist. I did tutoring, I did graphic design, and I did video editing. And eventually I learned all about digital marketing. So let's rewind a bit. I know I said earlier that I quit my job, and that is technically true, but here's the part that I failed to mention. I had 3 months of savings. And not only that, I also lived with my parents at that time, so my bills weren't enormous. And ideally, before one decides to quit, you need to be able to have at least 6 months of savings, just so you can get by the first 6 months of the year. And this is while you are learning and while you are looking for clients. Because the truth is, freelancing is not a stable job. And this timeline varies, especially when you are learning and looking for clients. For some freelancer, it took them 6 months to land their first clients, some 3 months, some a month, and the lucky ones probably less than a month. And having 6 months of savings for your living expenses is the safest bet in my opinion. And I think it would be financially irresponsible for that person to quit their job before going into freelancing. But in my case, I wasn't even paid as a nurse back then, and the only money that I earned was from my part-time job and a small allowance from my parents. And I live with them. So it really depends on your unique situation. And that is the first lesson I learned. Have at least 3 to 6 months of savings for your living expenses before you quit your job to pursue freelancing. So here's the truth. I was completely self-taught. Now there's a plethora of information online, and I taught myself marketing psychology, graphic design, and I didn't believe it at first, but I taught myself video editing as well. And not only that, I taught myself Facebook ads, email marketing, automation, you name it. I Googled it, I YouTubed it. But one thing I wish I did differently though is to have taken a more linear approach when it comes to learning, because learning it all on my own without direction, without roadmap, without the fundamentals is very, very confusing. So lesson 2 that I learned, if I were to start all over again, I'd rather do this instead. Take a structured course to master the fundamentals first. Not necessarily the paid course, there are a ton of free courses out there. And if you're leaning towards marketing, I will actually drop some links in the description down below so you can take that free course that will serve as a strong scaffolding for your marketing journey. And once you got the foundation down, you know what marketing is, you know the marketing terminology, etc., then you can go on to YouTube to learn advanced marketing from other people who have done it. Or you can go deep into the specific skills you need. But my biggest learning, none of it compares to actually working with your first client. You will learn more from one real project, mistakes and all, than any course can teach you. Oh, on a side note, clients don't actually care about service certifications. Now, I've seen a lot of freelancers in various Facebook groups asking whether or not it would be more beneficial if they have like 20 certifications, they took like 20 courses on digital marketing. If they have these courses, is it easier for them to land clients if they present these 20 certifications? In my experience, I never once had to show any certifications when I was applying for jobs or when I was looking for clients. The only certification that they asked of me was the HIPAA certification, which is necessary if you work in healthcare marketing in the United States, because this certification is necessary in the healthcare field if you want to work with healthcare clients in the United States. Which brings me to the third lesson I've learned. Have a portfolio. Now, I know most people are thinking this, but hey, I'm not a designer. I do admin work. I don't need a portfolio. I think I just need a resume. Now, I worked with agencies before and I also worked directly with clients, and there were times when they need a freelancer on board, so I had to help them filter out freelancers for the job. And let me tell you, the first thing that they look at, that they asked me to look at, is their portfolio. And the ones who submitted only a resume was just an instant pass. This is because I think that clients don't really care about your 10-year experience in this and that. What they do care about is what you can do for them. What skills or what talents do you have that you can bring to the table for them to make sales or reach this specific goal? But hey, let's say you do administrative work. How are you supposed to have a portfolio if you're not doing a lot of work that entails visuals or designs? But first, here are the mistakes that I see. Now, in this portfolio, people only list the tools that they know how to use. Like, okay, cool, you know how to use ClickUp, but so do other thousands and thousands of other VAs. What actually makes you stand out over the hundreds of resumes that are sitting in the client's inbox or the client's table is your process and case studies. Clients want to know how you think, what your thought process is, so this is something that you can include in your portfolio. And this is exactly what I did for a high-paying Facebook media buyer client. Sure, I had screenshots of the results. Here's the ROAS. Here's the CPC that's less than $1. And here's the ROI for this particular campaign. But what really helped me close the client was explaining to them my entire thought process, my workflow. Like, here's how I determine the goals. Here's how I evaluate the offer. And here's how I develop a creative strategy. And here's how I analyze the data so that we can know if we're going to increase the budget or if we're going to totally cut the ad or if we need to test more creatives. And this is my super efficient workflow process if we collaborate on this campaign. And this is because clients want to hire someone who can think independently. They don't want to micromanage you, to be honest. They micromanage you because they don't trust you, or they're just bad clients. Because the main purpose that clients hire freelancers is because they want to free up their time. And when they see that you can think independently, you're able to work autonomously, think critically, and make smart decisions, that's when they trust you. And they're thinking, oh, this person knows what they're doing. Oh, this person sounds like they've done this a million times before. And that is how you stand out. So if you're still watching this video, maybe you're like where I was before, thinking about quitting or figuring out what's next. So the thing is, you don't have to have everything all figured out yet. You just maybe need a little bit of runway to figure out your next step. So let me know down in the comments where you're at now in your journey. Are you still in your 9 to 5? Are you thinking about quitting? Or are you freelancing right now, but you still don't have clients, or you have a ton of clients? I'd love to hear that. And if you need help landing your first freelance client, then watch this video next.